Ferrari approached the 22nd round of the Formula One season with a single objective: to try to win. This was the result the Scuderia aimed to achieve in order to keep alive a dream: the Constructors Championship. Before starting, let's take a look at the weather conditions that the drivers encountered in the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Air temperature at 18.3 degrees Celsius, track temperature at 19.7 degrees Celsius, very low humidity at 50%, and wind speed of 3.2 kilometers per hour blowing from the heavy south. Now let's take a detailed look at how events unfolded for Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz in the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Everything is ready with about 5 minutes remaining before the start procedure begins. The Scuderia's engineers provide the usual recommendations, adding that the first 13 cars have opted for medium compounds. Perez, starting from position 14, is on hard tires. Here we go, the engines roar to life, and the drivers head out for the usual installation lap. Already during this lap, lift and coast is requested from both cars to cool the engine. Additionally, considerable effort is placed on tire management. The cars are on the starting grid, waiting only for the green light. Leclerc gets off to a flying start, overtakes Gasly and Sainz, and gets behind Russell. On lap 2, both Ferrari cars are instructed to use RB Position 1 mode, a mapping that helps warm up the car's rear axle by adjusting brake temperatures. Tire saving is also requested on lap 11. In these early phases, the Italian team is working to stabilize tire temperatures, a crucial move not only for performance but also for managing degradation. On lap 4, Leclerc attempts to attack Russell, but the Brit defends well. Brian Bozzi at this point reminds the team that tires must be managed, and rushing into a fight would not be wise. It's better to wait a few more laps and see what unfolds. For this reason, the Monegasque driver leaves a small gap to Russell. Meanwhile, behind Charles, Sainz keeps control of the situation, aware that Verstappen is lurking behind him. On lap 7, the tires finally appear to reach their optimal operating temperature. Ferrari decides to implement a strategy. Sainz, who has a better pace, is allowed to pass and chase Russell. Moreover, observing Leclerc's front tires, the typical black marks from graining are visible. Leclerc struggles and is eventually overtaken by Verstappen. Suddenly, the Ferrari's tires no longer perform. As a result, car number 16 is called to the pits, switching to hard compounds. The following lap, Sainz is also forced to stop, moving to the white-banded Pirellis like his teammate. Back on track, the Ferrari cars are positioned in 12th and 13th. The positive note is that the McLarens are also struggling and, having stopped as well, remain behind. Both Ferraris find themselves in traffic, along with Max Verstappen, who pits 2 laps later. However, the Dutchman is very skilled. The track engineers become increasingly insistent on tire management. Preserving them is crucial. At this stage, it seems Carlos Sainz is already experiencing slight rear graining. Strategy discussions revolve around choosing Plan A, while considering Plan C due to Perez, who started on hards and is struggling with his front tires. Ultimately, everything depends on the graining. Turns 6 and 10 are identified as key areas of the track where tire stress must be minimized. Meanwhile, the 2 Ferraris overtake Perez and follow Verstappen, who is in turn trying to close the gap to Russell. No one expected such tire struggles, a situation that has greatly benefited Mercedes, a car that suffers significantly less in low temperatures. 3rd and 4th place for the Ferraris at this moment. However, be aware that Lewis Hamilton, also driving a W15, has recovered a lot of ground and is now behind Leclerc in 5th position. Plan A is confirmed, but the possibility of switching to strategy C remains in play. The race is at a stalemate on lap 21, with the top 5 posting nearly identical lap times. Russell, however, has a cushion of about 9 seconds over his rivals, built up during the first stint thanks to Mercedes' superior tire management. Meanwhile, the target lap time is set at 37.5 seconds. This average allows the 2 Ferraris to maintain their delta with the top 2 without overstressing the tires. The race has turned out to be more challenging for the Italian cars than expected, that much is clear. However, the 2 McLarens are behind, and the race is still long. 28 laps remain before the checkered flag. Sainz reports graining on his front right tire. The Spaniard is struggling more than his teammate at the moment, although Charles is facing the same issue. The competitive context dictates a strategy change for Carlos, who switches to Plan C and is apparently supposed to yield his position to the Monegasque. However, the operation is too complicated because Hamilton is right behind. Eventually, Leclerc passes, and the Spaniard is called to the pits. Ferrari's pit crew is not ready, and Sainz has to do another lap, during which he shouts and gets very upset. Sainz changes tires on the following lap, and when he returns to the Las Vegas track, he loses his position to Hamilton, who had changed his tires the lap before. A costly error for Ferrari, which was caught unprepared. Verstappen also pits, while Leclerc extends his second stint, momentarily taking second place. Bozzi encourages the Monegasque and asks him about the tires. Charles's response is clear: "They're crap." 2 laps later, car number 16 is also forced to change tires. Back on track, the Ferrari driver finds himself behind his teammate. Brian emphasizes the importance of managing the tires during the initial laps. The message is to avoid pushing too hard in the corners, which Leclerc reluctantly accepts. It couldn't be otherwise, as the two SF24s in the Las Vegas Grand Prix have never been able to push and show their true pace due to graining issues. Verstappen is not far ahead of the Ferraris, holding a lead of about 3 seconds. However, the problem for Ferrari remains the same, namely, they can't push because they have to manage their tire compounds. A variety of handling techniques are tried. For instance, Sainz mentions using less steering angle to see if this approach can reduce tire saturation and save the compounds. This measure appears to be somewhat effective. Max is struggling, and the Ferraris are closing in. The Italian pit wall calls for caution, asking the drivers to attack the Dutchman without causing any mishaps. The reigning F1 world champion is now under attack, but tire management remains too crucial for Ferrari at this stage. The Maranello team asks the drivers to wait a few more laps before attempting anything. On lap 42, Carlos Sainz makes a move and overtakes Max, taking 3rd place, as his race engineer Riccardo Adami congratulates him, but reminds him about tire management. Charles Leclerc also wants to attack, but the reigning world champion has DRS on Carlos, which helps him defend. Tire degradation remains under control. At this point, with 6 laps remaining, there is effectively a train with Max Verstappen sandwiched between the 2 Ferraris. Carlos is asked to increase his pace and break free from Verstappen to push him out of drag reduction system range. It seemed he might succeed, but the Dutchman does not give in. The Spaniard gives it his all to make the Monegasque driver's attack easier, and he finally manages to gain an advantage of more than a second. The Monegasque studies car number 1 and with 3 laps to go, launches his attack and overtakes Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz takes 3rd place, virtually on the podium, with Charles Leclerc in 4th. The 2 Mercedes cars are in the lead. Their overall pace was not superior to Ferrari's, but their tire management made them faster. Nothing significant happens during the final corners. It is a result that cannot satisfy Ferrari, which had hoped for victory and a double podium. Nevertheless, there is a positive aspect as Ferrari gains valuable points over McLaren in the Constructors Championship. The gap narrows from 36 points to 24, keeping the title hope alive. Speaking of the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen is crowned F1 World Champion for the 4th time. Huge congratulations to him, as he truly made a difference in the 2024 Formula One title fight with a car that did not support him as well as last season. Chapeau.